you doing? How you feeling? Welcome to Search and Report. I'm bringing it back, baby. I am re-energized, rejuvenated, and ready to get on the saddle, as they say down here in Texas. I think that's a common saying. It's not tied to a region, but whatever. I'm getting distracted. I'm your host, True Fernie, and today I want to talk about first the news. There's been a lot of things going on in the news, gaming news, specifically this week. This week was insane. Like, this is part of the reason why I wanted to bring back the podcast, report on things that are important to me and in the gaming world, and also just, get back into doing things that I actually enjoy, and bring some value to whoever still watches me and still listens to me. But without further ado, I want to start out this podcast by talking about what have I been playing. I recently finished Split Fiction. Great game, amazing game. I absolutely adore that game. I think that Hazel Light, the developers, are in their own lane, refreshed, hydrated, staying in their own lane, just flourishing. But I think that this marked probably the start of them, the rest of their essentially their history and their legacy. I think that people now know that they're the masters at co-op gaming, couch co-op gaming, online gaming, being able to play Split Fiction with only one copy of the game, even online with friends, really cemented that legacy for them. I think they really did something new and they did it well. But I think that going forward, they should definitely explore not necessarily like other game genres, but like other design philosophies, I should say. I would hate for them to become like Rockstar, where it kind of becomes more of the same, kind of like Ubisoft with the Assassin's Creed series. It's really easy to fall into what's comfortable and what's worked. That's, not necessarily an issue, because Nintendo is very successful at that. With not Legend of Zelda, but like for Super Mario Brothers, they're kind of like really kept the same formula going, and it worked for them to a certain degree. But even then had to, even Nintendo, the gaming giants, had to really, redesign and rethink the strategy going forward for their games, and for specifically like one of the most important and influential gaming series of all time. So Split Fiction, I feel, is that. I feel Split Fiction is the peak, or at least is the drop of that couch co-op type of game. But regardless of that, outside of that, it's a great game. I think it's an amazing game. I think it's a great idea. You play as two characters, both of them writers, and they're really trying to sell their stories and become like published authors, and really become successful at what they really like doing, which is telling stories. And then the twist of them trying to get out of this virtual reality that they're forced into by the publisher, to try and basically farm and steal their ideas. I like the juxtaposition and kind of like the symbolism of what we're living currently in the art world, in a sense, when it comes to like AI stealing art and using it for its own profit by people who are not necessarily invested in art in any form. None of them really trying to explore their own self-expression. People who are driven by greed, people who are driven by just growth and trying to make things as easy as possible for the least amount of money. I think that this is a perfect game with the perfect message to what we're currently living in America. So I really commend them for always pushing the envelope when it comes to those type of stories. It Takes Two was a very, very real story. It was really poignant. It was really, really strong. Dealing with a divorce and dealing with broken families and whatnot, abandonment. It was really, really heartwarming, heartbreaking, and to not be redundant, but it pulled at the heartstrings. And Split Fiction does that, but in a more they still pull at the heartstrings. Like the main characters stories outside of this game are outside of like the premise of the game are really, really interesting, and they're really, really heartbreaking, to be honest. They're real. Like I really commend them for not shying away from some real topics and making the characters very relatable. The story is just amazing. I think this is one of the most original stories. I think this is a great way to explore the co-op genre. And I think they did a great idea with the different mixture of platforming, side scrolling, racing, first person shooting, third person shooting. Like if you played It Takes Two, Split Fiction is more of the same, but in a different setting. And I just love it. I love that each character has kind of like their own world, so every stage feels different enough that it's not repetitive. One character deals with everything sci-fi, and the other character deals with everything fantasy. And the way that they both mesh together and just work together is insane. A lot of the like gags and comedy relief type of things, like it's not really a spoiler because it's one of the first type of like side stories where you basically turn into a pig, and then the whole mission is trying to turn into a hot dog and be a hot dog. It's kind of dark and grim, but it's also really funny, and it's just, I was just like, what the hell am I playing? Like, why is this the best game I've ever played? Because it's that ridiculous and it's that silly. But it's still like down the line, you're still dealing with some really real ass topics about the real world, about the industry and whatnot. So I really commend them for that. Again, my only concern with this game is definitely how Hazellight goes forward from this. Me, I tend to get, I'm a very, comfort type of gamer. Like if I know a game that I like, I'll replay it 10 times. Like I'm on my third replay of Tears of the Kingdom right now. Um, I've beaten Breath of the Wild like 4 or 5 times already. I replay Majora's Mask every year. So I I know that there's that that chance that Hazelight becomes that. They become known just for the co-op stuff, and they really hone in on that, and they try and like just make this their thing for the longest time. Um, but at the same time, just needing to always play a game with someone else, co-op, like you're tied to someone else. I think it wouldn't lend Hazellight to really have their games to have a long shelf life. As I said, it kind of becomes not repetitive, but it's still like, oh, Hazellight, yeah, they do those co-op games. Like I don't know if their strategies to really become that and really like just go all all in on that. But in my opinion, like it does get a little bit, I don't know, monotonous in my opinion. And there's a reason why I stopped playing games like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed, because you can go down that route and be very successful at it, but after a while, like it just becomes repetitive, in my opinion. And if you've played one co-op game, they did amazingly well with It Takes Two, because they really shaken. They really shook things up. And I commend them for that. And Split Fiction was a continuation of that. But from here, I think it'd be really interesting to see how they explore other genres, or see how they transform or innovate from what they're really good at, which is these co-op games. But overall, I think it's a great game. I don't think it's Game of the Year worthy in comparison, because It Takes Two came in as a new thing, like a shiny new thing. No one's ever played co-op games like this. It's amazing. It has everything: side scrolling. It's a fighting game. It's a platformer. Like it had everything, and it kept you on your toes throughout the whole game because it was something new. It was a new genre being re-explored, reimagined. Split Fiction is It Takes Two 2.0 or 2.5 because it's not more of the same. It's the same, but in a different setting, different story. Like it really does innovate on that, and it makes you know, a great addition to the co-op series. But we've seen it already with It Takes Two, so it kind of took away that punch, that initial punch, for it to be, you know, game of the year worthy, in my opinion. I still think it's a very, you know, it's a worthy game to play with a friend. I think it's really, really fun if you're a fan of 3D platforming. If you're a fan of any gaming genre, to be honest, because it essentially has almost every genre. It's amazing. I think the only one it doesn't have is like turn-based RPG type of gameplay. But it's amazing. I think it's a great game. But you should play it. It's only like 10 or 15 hours to beat. It's a good story. It's a really engaging story. And yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised after every level. I never felt bored. I never felt like, oh, I can't wait till I just get done with this game. No, it's well paced. The beats are really there, and I think it's an amazing game. Everybody should definitely play. Besides that, what else have I been playing? I've been replaying Tears of the Kingdom. There's not much I can say about that. I just want to say that I'm very excited for the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because it gives me a good excuse to replay the games again, but in high fidelity now in 4K. Like, I'm just very excited for that. Um, but yeah, I think my next game I really want to check out is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Not a big fan of turn-based RPGs. The only one I can really tolerate is Pokemon, and that's just because I grew up with the anime. So I'm invested in that way, but turn-based, like, really just it's a drag for me. Like, I really try and finish my games, but there's so many turn-based RPGs I just could not finish. Like, I started Final Fantasy VII, like the original game. I didn't beat it. Like, I got bored and I got tired of it. So that's what you're dealing with when it comes to this sort of stuff. But, you know, people have been singing Claire Obscure Expedition 33's, you know, praises, and, you know, people are saying it's even a game of the year contender. So I'm really interested to see if it's able to capture me, someone who's not into the genre that much. People say it's that good, but whatever. Let's get into the first news story of this week. A lot of things happen, as I already said, this week. Our first news story is Microsoft has raised the prices of all Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox games have been confirmed to hit $80 this holiday. We saw it with the Nintendo Switch 2. It was a gut punch, essentially, especially with the games. We knew that there was going to be an increase in pricing. Inflation is a thing. Yada yada. The tariffs are dreadful. Like, they've been hitting the gaming industry hard. And I feel that now that Nintendo, the giant, I feel like now console makers feel emboldened to make that jump in pricing. They don't feel as scared to really let us know just how much they're going to be charging. But I still think that Xbox, of all people, of all companies are not people. Let me rephrase that. To do it is just hilarious. Like, it's just insane to me that they were this shameless about it. Like, it just felt weird. Like, the increases are insane. But let me get straight into the news topic. This is from IGN. Microsoft is raising prices on Xbox by a lot. In the announcement today, the company said it will be raising prices on Xbox consoles, controllers, headsets, and some games. The price hike for consoles and accessories kicks in today, May 1st, and while game prices will stay the same for now, we should expect to see Xbox charging $80 for new first-party games around the holiday season. This effect is taking place globally. However, the only things that are only going up in America and Canada are the headset prices. But going forward, like, check out these prices. They're insane to me. I just don't think that this is like, I don't understand what the reasoning is behind it. I know tariffs, everything. I know, you know, things are getting more expensive, inflation, games have stayed consistently priced for a very long time. But Jesus Christ, like I think there is a limit to just how much you should feel comfortable raising your prices for. Going forward here, the expected prices on various Xbox consoles and accessories in the US. The Xbox Series S with 512 gigabytes memory is up to $379.99, up from basically $300. So they increased it by $80. Insane. The 1 terabyte Xbox Series S is $430, up from $350. That's still $80. The Xbox Series X is up a whole $100. That is insane to me. I think that is preposterous. This is a console that came out 4-5 years ago. Like it's not a new offering. It's they're not giving us something new and special. Like just seeing the Xbox Series X being priced at $600, it's still the same console with the same capabilities, the same processing power. So I feel that like that's what kills me about the audacity of Microsoft of all people. PlayStation is gonna do it too. Like I already know that's gonna take place this year. But the audacity, man, to try and like raise the price of their console by $100. It's not a new console. It's the same thing we've been getting for the past 5 years. Is insane to me. I can understand inflation. I can understand all these sort of things, the tariffs, but $100, bro. It's not a new shiny thing. It's Xbox. It's the worst performing console out of all of them. I don't understand the reasoning behind it, except greed, obviously. And obviously, this was a executive level decision. I understand they just saw the writing on the wall and they were like, it's gonna come. Like we need to raise our prices. Like it doesn't matter if we're not selling, whatever. Like console makers always sell their consoles at a loss. That is an industry, that is industry knowledge. That is something that they know. That is something that they are aware of, because they want people to be on the system. They want people to be in the network of whatever their console is. The PlayStation Store, the Xbox, Microsoft Store, the Nintendo eShop, whatever it is. They want people buying games because that's where they make the most of their money. But I feel like that shift is slowly occurring where they're like, no, we're not gonna keep doing this at a loss. We're not gonna be like, I just don't understand what the logic behind it is. I don't see how this plays out well in Xbox favor, especially like with how bad they've been doing in general. Like yes, the Game Pass is a success. A lot of people on it. But I just don't. It's hard for me to think that this is a good business decision in the long run, unless they're really trying to shift the thought process or like I guess the expectation of the next gen. Making sure that the consumer is aware that we're working on the next gen, like the next gen console, because it's already been 5 years of this current gen, Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, and both Microsoft and Sony love to give us consoles 5, 6, 7 years after a console has been out. I still think it's too soon. I don't think PlayStation. I don't even feel we're in next gen. Ever since PlayStation 5 released, like there's not a lot of games where I can say, oh yeah, this is definitely next gen. What's that game called? Ratchet and Clank. I think that was like one of the first ones. There were other few like PS5 exclusive games, but it just hasn't felt that we're in that next gen console. And the price increase I feel is Xbox trying to make it more palatable and more digestible once they actually release their next gen console and be like, see, at least it's the same price as our last gen. We didn't increase the price. I think they're trying to like get, make that initial gut punch of the $700, $600, $500 console a little bit more digestible. I feel that a lot of these companies underrate, I guess, or They just don't think that consumers are smart enough to understand or to look back. Back in the day, we used to have, at least companies used to have the privilege of consumers not having access to the internet. Like they would just be thinking about or trying to look for a receipt on what it used to cost for a console back in the day. But now, like, we can see trends. We can, there's a secondhand market now, easily and readily accessible to us. There's a big used game, market out there, that I just feel they're really underestimating just how much the consumer is not going to go for this. I just don't think Microsoft, of all people, doing this is I feel very, very misguided, and definitely not something that was well thought out, in my opinion. Like, it was just a knee-jerk reaction to the tariffs and the increase in shipping and manufacturing these consoles. But yeah, it's crazy to me. I don't understand how they're trying to justify this, and it's just going to be very, very interesting to see when they release their next gen console. Just insane. But yeah, on to our next topic, which I really want to talk about because I am both glad and a little bit surprised that it happened. But Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed. It is now coming on May 26th of 2026, which is more than a year from now. God, that's depressing. Oh my God, I don't know if I can wait another year, bro. Because what promise is there that games aren't going to cost $100 by then? That's what kills me about this delay. But whatever. Rockstar here officially announced that they've set to release the GTA 6 on May 26th. It was first slated to release this holiday season, 2025. But I'm guessing there's been reports that this is Rockstar's sort of goal at trying to avoid crunch and trying to really give developers enough time to finish this game. I mean, this is a game that's been in development or in a sense for like almost a decade. So it's really, I guess it's a justification as to why video game prices are increasing. Games take longer to make. Games are more complicated. They're more high quality, high fidelity. It takes larger teams of people to make these games. So it's not surprising that there was another delay for Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm obviously very, not devastated, but disappointed. I don't know why, like, extreme words come to my mind when I'm trying to be descriptive. My mind just loves to embellish stuff sometimes. I'm a little bit disappointed because I'm a huge GTA fan. I've been playing the series since Vice City. When I was a little kid, I shouldn't be playing that game, but I was. So I'm disappointed, and obviously we're not going to be able to play this game this year. But I'm also relieved because this year, in less than a month, well, no, like a month and 2 days, we'll have the Nintendo Switch 2. And baby, if there's one thing I'm going to tell you, I am a Nintendo fan through and through. That's going to take up all of my year. Going to be playing so many new games, going to be playing so many old games like that have been, redesigned and re-upped in graphics for the Nintendo Switch 2. So I'm very excited for that. I'm very relieved that this was delayed. And I bet the industry is also very relieved. I bet publishers, developers are relieved that they won't have to fight for eyes and attention during the holiday season because of Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm sure there's a lot of small developers that are looking at this, even big developers, AAA developers. They're looking at this and be like, oh, we don't got to worry about how our holiday season is going to look, which is great. I'm excited for that. I'm happy for them. I feel that's also going to give a lot of breathing room because, I mean, damn, like just in the past month and a half, we've had so many releases. Clair Obscur, we've had Oblivion, what else released recently? Uh, Assassin's Creed. Um, there's been like really big AAA releases, and I feel like those schedules were pushed up because of GTA 6, because people knew that this was going to supposedly release this year. So it's kind of like really overloaded. I feel like a lot of gamers, just how many games there currently is to play. Blueprints, another great game. Um, and they all came out in the span of like less than 2 months, and it's been like a little bit overwhelming. So I don't, I'm not entirely disappointed. I'm disappointed that it's gonna be late, but still gives me some breathing room because I know Nintendo's gonna go all out this holiday season with first party games. They're releasing Metro Prime 4 this year. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things in the works that they haven't really released because Nintendo doesn't. One thing I really do appreciate from Nintendo is that they don't announce games ahead of time. If they'll only announce a game if it's releasing in the next year. I've only like the only one I ever seen them really, you know, shit the bed with was Metro Prime 4. They really shouldn't have announced it so early, but um I feel that there's still going to be another Nintendo Direct after the release of Nintendo Switch 2, and I feel that that's when we're going to get the second half of all games releasing for the Nintendo Switch. And I'm sure they're going to come with some heavy hitters. Um I'm sure they're gonna come out. I'm sure they're working. Well, no, never mind, because that's DK Bonanza. That's the same team, supposedly. It hasn't been confirmed, but I'm sure they're working on a Mario game, a 3D Mario game. I'm sure there's a lot of things down the pipeline right now that they're really trying to push to get released this holiday season. So excited, disappointed, but excited that won't be able. I won't have to worry about this thing for much longer. But yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6 delayed until May 26, 2026. And for my last news story that I really want to talk about, because this is something that energized me to get back in the saddle. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that thing, that phrase, in doing the podcast again and doing the things that really I'm passionate about and things that I really want to talk about. Gaming news, um, giving people perspectives on the industry. I've worked in import and export, so like the whole Nintendo Switch 2 tariff, like that was a mesh of two of the things that I'm not passionate about importing and exporting, but I have experience in it, and that kind of opened my eyes because there was a lot of misinformation around tariffs. That opened my eyes to be like, yo, there needs to be more voices that are not just focused on being rage baity, on being, clicks for views, trying to get people just riled up and offering even the news without substance or like with a educated opinion. This is something that I'm truly passionate about. Gaming. I've been playing games since I was 4 or 5 years old. So it's important more than anything, more than any time in any period outside of gaming, to really, really hone in on your research skills. A lot of misinformation out there currently in every space. Gaming is one of them. But outside of that, independent media is going to be very important in the coming 5 to 10 years. With the way things are going, with the in the real world, with the way things are going in the industry and how comfortable a lot of corporations have gotten at just buying up publications, buying up websites, and getting rid of them, it's very important for us to really hone in and really support independent voices in this industry and every industry. Because it's going to get tough. It's going to get rough. But this is one of the ones that really, really struck me as certifiably insane. I'm not going to lie. Let me go first with the Polygon story, because I feel that one was a little bit more hard hitting. Here, PC Gamer reports that the gaming website Polygon has laid off its union staff. Insane, crazy. Editor-in-chief departs following sale to Game Rant owner Valnet. Vox Media has sold Polygon, the gaming site it founded in 2012, as a new kind of website built on technology, backed by a new kind of media company. A lot of kind of. You kind of sold it. So I don't know how new and innovative this is anymore. But here, PC Gamer announces that gaming website Polygon, which, okay, I'm just going to repeat that. They sold to Valnet, which they own Game Rant, Fextra Life, and The Gamer, among a number of other online entertainment, sports, and hobbyist publications. A substantial number of Polygon staff members have been laid off or quit, including site co-founder and editor-in-chief Chris Plante. Those who were laid off were Vox Media Union members with the Writers Guild of America East, the WGAE said in a statement issued Friday. With only a month left until the current union contract expires at Vox Media, the company yesterday announced it sold Polygon and laid off the bargaining unit at the site. Among the exiting staff were special projects editor Matt Leone, who has been with Polygon since its founding in 2012 and wrote its celebrated oral histories of Street Fighter II and Final Fantasy VII. Senior reporter Nicole Carpenter, who focuses on long-form investigative reporting, and curation editor Pete Volk, who said that he was let go along with just about everyone else at Polygon. The addition of Polygon not only strengthens our editorial muscle, but also amplifies our ability to deliver unmatched value to both audiences and advertisers, said Valnet CEO Hassan Youssef in a statement. No, because you laid off everybody who actually does the editorial work. What are you talking about? In April, Valnet sued media outlet The Wrap over an investigative report which characterizes the publisher as a digital sweatshop, calling the article an inflammatory hit piece. The Wrap's legal counsel describes Valnet's lawsuits as inconsistent, contradictory, and meritless. The 2020s have been turbulent for gaming-related media. The Washington Post's gaming section launcher was closed in 2023, and Vice's Waypoint was shuttered the same year. Long-running U.S. magazine Game Informer was unceremoniously closed last year, but was reopened by a new investor this year. Other publications have faced acquisitions and layoffs, as Polygon has today. And this brings me to my next news topic, which I'll talk about a little bit more because I am a fan of that news site, and I am really devastated that this happened, but we'll get into that. But this is why I think this is very important. Corporations profit, corporations benefit from these acquisitions and these layoffs. They don't have to honor union contracts, even union, like the disrespect that unions get in this country, even though our literal weeks have been designed thanks to unions, is very alarming. And it's very, I feel, controversial, and you know, it's really making me nervous that we've kind of come to accept layoffs as a normal business practice. It was very common for people to stay in their jobs for decades. It's very common for people to have pensions with set companies. 401ks are a new thing, and these savings accounts that companies and benefits, even though you pay for them, that a lot of corporations have kind of forced onto us, have become normalized, which is very alarming and very dangerous. Layoffs were seen back in the day as a failure of management, as a failure of a company being able to stay in business. Layoffs are a consequence of bad business decisions, bad business plans, and just bad management. Now it's seen as a normal thing in business, as a normal part of everybody's career. It shouldn't be normal. This shouldn't be normalized. Acquisitions are one thing. Laying off people is a completely different beast. And I feel that if we're not careful, and again, this is just my opinion, I'm not trying to paint a whole company in a way, but I just find it very interesting that there were already reports on Valnet on their practices. But if we're not careful, this is not going to be just self-contained to the gaming industry. I've seen it in what I do in a day job. It happens constantly. It happened over the last decade. And we need to really stop normalizing these things as part of work life. Layoffs are a failure of businesses Layoffs are a failure of management. Layoffs are not normal. Layoffs shouldn't be normalized. This is insane. The disrespect that workers nowadays get, people who build things up, like it's a repetition of history and things we've seen before unions in this country. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it at that. Next news topic that I really want to talk about, which kind of like falls into the same news, is that Giant Bomb is undergoing a strategic reset as staff depart. One of the main reasons and one of the main inspirations as to why I brought this back, this podcast, this gaming news, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Field podcast is overused at this point. Is because of the people at Giant Bomb, specifically Jeff Grubb and Mike Minotti. Mike Minotti he was a contributor to Giant Bomb. I don't believe he was employed by them. But they have a podcast together, Game Mess Decides, and they also have The Last of the Nintendogs. I met them at 2023 PAX East. Or it was PAX West. It was PAX West. And I was very into gaming. I was consistently putting out gaming content. And one of the things that I did ask both of them, like, can you give me tips? Can you give me some advice on how to really make it in this industry? Like, what do I need to do? Because I've been doing this since 2019. And even though I haven't been successful yet, I know my time will come. Just got to be patient. In some way or another, it doesn't necessarily have to be in just content creation. I know that I'm going to be in the gaming industry one way or another. I've already been in the gaming industry. I've been doing events and digital stuff for the gaming industry. But they told me that you need to surround yourself with people that have the same vision as you. People who are all in or kind of already doing what you're doing. And that really struck with me because collaboration at the end of the day is what drives us forward. Communities drives us forward. The support of people that watch you drives you forward. It's not the money is a big deal. It's a big part of it, obviously. But it's not the corporations. It's not the names. It's not the people writing the checks up top. And you can see it with Giant Bomb. As soon as they stop the streaming, as soon as they stop their like programming, everybody left. Giant Bomb lost so much support. And I just don't think they're coming back from this. And I think that's essentially the plan that fandom is trying to do. But those types of people are the ones who inspire me. And that's why this news topic is very dear to my heart. Because I really did appreciate that advice. It made me really feel that I could really make something out of nothing. I could really make something out of this, out of content, by providing value to people on the things that are important for them is how you move forward in anything in life. So it kind of sucks, especially because Jeff Grubb, the Giant Bomb crew, Jan, everybody who was on the weekly or the daily streams took what is essentially, something that was, been around for quite some time, and they made it their own. They essentially revived what Giant Bomb was. And it wasn't because of the name. The name attracted that talent to the company, but it was the people that really brought people back into Giant Bomb and the success that it became. So it's really disappointing to see the way the industry is going. It's a little bit discouraging as someone who wants to do this for a living. Reporting, journalism, gaming, in one way or another. It's really disappointing and discouraging to see this because there's no stability anymore. And that's why I really say that it's very important to not normalize layoffs as something normal. Or try and internalize it as either the people's fault or either as just It's just part of doing business. It's not part of doing business. It's a failure of business. But let me go into this. GamesIndustry.biz here reports that Giant Bomb is undergoing a strategic reset as staff depart. Hosts Dan Reichert and Jeff Grubb are among those no longer with the website. Samuel Robert here says, new website and video outlet Giant Bomb is undergoing, according to owner Fandom Inc., after several staff disclosed publicly that they're no longer working for the brand. Signs of disagreement behind the scenes emerged earlier this week after an episode of the Giant Bomb cast was pulled that apparently featured the hosts mocking a series of new content guidelines from its managers. Yesterday, May 1st, producer and host Jeff Grubb announced on Blue Sky that he's no longer with Giant Bomb, saying that, well, that was a dream come true, knew it wouldn't last though, out of a job at the moment. GameSpeed's Mike Minotti, a Giant Bomb contributor, shared he's no longer participating in the show on Blue Sky. He says, needless to say, I will no longer be contributing to Giant Bomb. Nothing but love to all the wonderful people from there and GameSpot. Jeff was a workhorse and a hero for the way he shouldered so much responsibility there, and I am furious with the way execs treated him. Creative director Dan Reichert revealed on a recent live stream that he'll no longer be participating in the Giant Bomb cast either, according to a report by Kotaku. Giant Bomb says that they understand the frustration and appreciate the patience. We're actively exploring creative directions for the future of GB and look forward to sharing more with you soon. Fandom Inc. elaborated in a statement to Kotaku. We understand this programming pause isn't ideal for our audience, but it's part of the strategic reset and realignment of our media brands. I hate corporate talk. We have some creative ideas for the future of Giant Bomb that we're actively working and that we'll be able to communicate more about soon. Fandom Incorporated purchased Giant Bomb and GameSpot from Red Ventures in October of 2012. Yeah, depressing, disappointing, but I'm not going to say it is what it is, because it's not. But yeah, that is depressing, disappointing, and I feel that we need to hold companies more accountable and truly. Unfortunately, the way any industry is influenced is with money, and the only way that you can go forward in any industry is with money, and that's how you vote. And unfortunately, this capitalistic society we've built, I for one, I'm gonna be supporting. I already am supporting, Jeff Grubb, Mike Minotti, and their podcast, supporting the Giant Bomb cast, the Giant Bomb crew. It's very important for independent media to stay independent, which is also like very ironic. Giant Bomb, the way they started was, pushing themselves away and becoming their own thing from these sort of corporations, and now they're being killed by said corporations. But in the grand scheme of things, support creators, support the people you really like, and truly. And not just by watching them, but monetarily, because it's a very scary world out there. It's very uncertain, and it's very important to have independent voices, people that aren't paid to just say what they're being told to say. And investigative reporting is very important in today's world. Truly is. I don't know. Depressing, but also inspiring, because the support that these guys have gotten is insane, and it's something that I hope and hope for myself. So yeah, keep on keeping on. Now, last thing I want to talk about is Nintendo Switch 2. There's a lot of things to talk about. Very exciting to talk about Nintendo Switch 2 as a Nintendo fan. But regardless, just very excited for the future, what it holds. I finally got my pre-order. It wasn't that crazy. I was expecting like a repeat of 2020 with the PS5. It wasn't that. I got my pre-order in 45 minutes, but I'm just glad that I was able to get it through Best Buy and not Target, because screw Target. But it feels that almost everyone has a pre-order now. It feels that Nintendo really did their job at securing enough consoles, at manufacturing enough consoles, where almost everyone I've seen online has a pre-order, or at least two, just to be safe. I'm kind of glad that, in a way, scalping hasn't ruined this release yet. But I have seen some people post their like confirmations on eBay trying to sell the consoles. But all I'm gonna say is if you haven't secured a Nintendo Switch 2, believe me, just wait till the release date. There's gonna be enough consoles, I believe. Hopefully. Um, but Nintendo's done their due diligence. I'm sure they saw what happened with the PS5 and how much that affected the release of it. I don't believe Nintendo is in any way interested in not having people buy their consoles. You can call them greedy, but they're pretty effective at taking away your money. So I'm sure on the release date, we still have the May 8th. My Nintendo account, Nintendo eShop, whatever, Nintendo is like officially selling the console through their own means on May 8th. So be on the lookout for that. Um, I'm sure a lot of people are going to get their hands on a Switch too by release date. If not release week or release month, I'm sure people in June are going to be able to find enough Nintendo Switch 2s. Nintendo did their due diligence trying to, get as many consoles from Vietnam because of the tariffs. They're cheaper to import currently from Vietnam rather than China. And they really allocated a lot of inventory for the United States. So very excited. But regardless of that, I got my pre-order in. I got Mario Kart World Bundle. I got my my Donkey Kong Bonanza pre-order for July. Very excited for that. Very, very excited for that game. It's been a while since we had DK64, and I just want to say I'm ready for that. I've seen so much footage on that game, which I kind of regret because I really wanted to go fully blind into it. But I'm gonna be making reviews on both Mario Kart World and DK Bonanza. But yeah, excited. But folks, I've been True Fernie. This has been Search and Report. You can follow us on Spotify. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to us on anywhere and everywhere where you get your podcast. I really want to bring this back full-fledged, like just going all in on it. I'm going to be chopping up some sections here and there and putting them on YouTube as their own videos. I don't know if I really want to make the whole jump into putting the bots, like the whole actual podcast, on YouTube. I gotta research and see like how that affects the algorithm and whatnot. Just a headache. But I really do appreciate anything, like any support, whether it's listening, whether it's watching my videos, whether it's following me on social media, interacting with my stuff, my content. I really do appreciate. But folks, please take care of one another, but most importantly, take care of yourself. It's scary out there. Support creators. Support your favorite creators, especially independent media. Peace.